A little introduction, a little bit about me. I'm Andrew Sunter, Business Transformation Manager at Marsden Building Society. I've been at the Marsden over 20 years now, mainly working within the business. Only the last few years have I moved across to IT. So I've got huge business knowledge, but and a small amount of IT knowledge. And I'm now the link between business and IT. So I manage a lot of the projects which have a crossover. So there's an IT requirement, but also a business requirement. So doing that, I'm kind of be the project manager, and I've been project managing CXAIR. So a little bit of background of why we went into partnership with CXAIR. And we went with Connectica and implemented CXAIR. We were looking for a solution to streamline the production of our operational assurance reporting, financial and credit models, customer insights. What we used at the moment was Excel, pivot tables, Visual Basic, scripts, and we had a lot of requirements for jobs to be run by our IT team. So we had quite a resource overhead, and we also had the risk of human error. We were copying source files into Excel files and updating pivot tables. If pivot tables failed to upload, you could end up with historic data being sent out to the business. And we also were looking at the data governance as well, and of the oversights. A lot of data was being created within the society. It was being shared within different departments. So we kind of wanted to know what was the governance that sat around this. And some extracts, we also reached the limitations of Excel. We had several hundred columns in some of our mortgage extracts that went into great detail on arrears, and loading that data into models and refreshing it. Some of the PCs were dying trying to go through all the data that we were pushing through. So that was the problem that we had. So we needed something that would support our IT department. We wanted to improve the data governance. We wanted to get around the limitations of Microsoft Excel. With the correct model, we wanted to be able to increase the amount of reporting and template reporting we could do. We did it internally to management, but we wanted to extend that to board and also to external partners. And one of the big problems that we had with being SOPRA is account-based, and our marketing department wanted customer information. So we wanted something which could change the account data into customer data to start providing geodemographic analysis, behavioural insights, customer transformation, things like that. So we had a look round. We were already aware of Connectica. I think we'd spoken to them at various industry events. We knew some other societies already had CXAIR. So we reached out to them. We hired an IT consultant who had CXAIR experience, just to sense check whether he thought our requirements could be met by the product. And Connectica also took a sample of our data and provided a proof of concept just to show the capabilities. We like the fact that Connectica wanted to offer post-sale support. I mean, we're 2 years on now, and we're still utilising that support, and we're still having fortnightly meetings with Connectica. So the support there has been excellent. And what CXAIR has done, it's removed the limitations of Excel. A key thing for us is the detailed audit trail now. So any changes made to an index or a data set, we've now got the audit trail. The report distribution, rather than Excel and emails, we've now got dashboards, and we can still export files like we always have done. And we can now retrieve data from a variety of sources. So we can pull in SQL database stuff, we can bring in external CSVs, and then we can query it all together as a single index. So what we've spent a lot of time doing is getting the foundations right. We spoke with other building societies, and what everyone said was, make sure that you get the foundations right. We were told that if we could go back and restart the project, we would spend more time on getting the correct data into the model. By not doing that, obviously you've got this shiny new CXAIR tool, and the business wants to see the output. But by not having the right foundations, you're then limiting what you can do further down the line. So we've spent a huge amount of time importing SOPRA tables and indexing those. We've pulled in over 100. That's not just things that we need now or for projects that are in flight. We've tried to future-proof this for things that we have planned for the future. We've created amalgamated indexes. We've got customer data, mortgage addresses, valuation data. We've created ETLs. We've imported external data from ONS, house price index, flood risk. We've also spent a lot of time creating our own data dictionary. So we've got SOPRA field names, and then what the corresponding CXAIR field name is. Any calculations that we've done in the ETL, we've now referenced all those, and we've created a Marsden user guide. We didn't want this just to be limited to a select few people within the organisation. We want anyone really to be able to pick up our Marsden dictionary and user guide and be able to use CXAIR. So after doing all that, and that is still ongoing, these are examples, so some SOPRA indexes we've brought in. You can see account headers as nearly 235,000 records have been brought in there. These are just the A's, so you can see how many and how much data we've actually brought in. You've got amalgamated indexes that we've created. You can see the naming convention, they're all AML, so it just makes it easier for us when we're doing changes and updates. We've got ETLs, these are all ETLs created. Again, we've got the naming convention on there. Whilst all this has been going on in the background, we have done a few projects. A couple of projects are further down the line, and a couple are more recently onboarded. But we've been looking at a customer insights dashboard. This has been led by our marketing department, going back to the account-based view and wanting customer data. So this is where we've been looking at the geodemographic analysis, for example, and I've got a few slides on an example of what this looks like. We've also got a mortgage project in flight where we have currently an agreement in principle spreadsheet, a new application spreadsheet, a tranche management spreadsheet, and a lot of information is duplicated across all three spreadsheets. But for every time an AIP comes in, it gets added to the spreadsheet. Then an application comes in, again, a lot of information is duplicated, but we add it onto the spreadsheet. Same with the tranche management. So what we're doing is CXAIR, we're merging all the data together. So three spreadsheets into one dynamic view, which we're hoping will then have some automated reporting on the back of it. And what this does is creates tables within CXAIR, so you can then use that information in other areas. I'll just jump to the broker. So we're looking at our proc fee payments. What we're looking to do is automate an existing process, but a lot of the manual checks within that process are looking at our agreement in principle spreadsheet, looking at our log of new apps, checking our tranche management. So the fact that those tables are now built and are within CXAIR, we're actually been able to look back to those tables and automate a lot of those manual checks. So we're hoping a job that's quite timely, done on a weekly basis, we're going to be able to pull back quite a lot of time by utilising CXAIR. We also have integrity reporting, which is through our compliance department, again, that we're looking to automate an existing process. At the moment, we have a lot of SQLs which are run, and a lot of checking of data. And now all the data that's being checked is SOPRA data, it's existing customer data, it's now within CXAIR. So we're looking to replicate a lot of that SQL into a CXAIR process. And at the end of it, rather than providing a pivot table of static data, we're looking at a dashboard of a dynamic view. So you can get a high level view of integrity, and you can actually drill into that and go into the detail and see which are the areas that need checking and updating. So this is our project for our customer insights dashboard. Now we have this dashboard as a society, and we also have it drilled down to a branch view. So this is an example of one of our branches. So you can see the sort of data that we're looking at now. So you've got your total balances, total customers. We're then looking into the actual information. So customers by age, average balance by age. We're looking at whether they're on our marketing list. And you can see partway down, we're in the customer section at the moment, but we have another section covering products. So this is the products sold through the branch. We have another one on activity, so transaction levels. And then we have another one which is looking at some external data. So I've just provided an example of the external, so I'm quite useful. So this shows that we're using some ONS data here that we've brought in, and we're looking at, based on that ONS data, how many people are in the postcode area for a specific branch, how many households are within that area, what market share does Marsden have of those households within the area, how many of those are a Marsden customer, and then some of our third party sales, home insurance, funeral plans, mortgage, just gives an idea of the scope of, we can see we've got a relatively small market share. You can increase the market share. That's how many households are in the area. That's how many insurance policies have been sold by Marsden. So you can see where the potential, and this drives a lot of our marketing campaigns. So this is really useful within our marketing area. Another project that we have in flight is the agreement in principles. So this is where we're looking to merge 3 existing spreadsheets. A big problem we have with these is because we have lots of people wanting to go in the spreadsheets at the same time. It's limited to 1 person. So we have Teams groups where you can email, say, who's in log of new apps, can I have access to AIPs? So this just allows multiple users to go in and update the data at the same time. The top section is our tranche management. So we've got, so you put a product code in there and it brings up product details. So you can see that's particular product is what we class as an Almost 11, which is a residential up to 85% loan to value. There's no fees with that product. The tranche remaining is 5 million. So as long as I'm not trying to book a case more than that, no issues with booking this particular case. And then we've got the AIP detail. So it comes in as an AIP, and this is the basic details. We're then adding broker details for that AIP, and this stretches over the page. So the next section is the AIP outcome. And then should that AIP come in as an application, you can enter in at the top here, the top left, the previous application code. So you're putting in your AIP number in there, you're pulling back all the information that you previously keyed in for this particular case, and then all you're doing, you're adding any additional information that you need. Now this is coming as an application. And then once you've done those initial checks on that application and you're happy to actually book the funds, then you're just submitting the data into the system, and it's taking the amount off the remaining tranche, booking the funds, giving you a code. So it's just reducing massively the number of spreadsheets and the number of times that we're updating the same data. Linked to that is we've got this section. So this is our tranche management section. So this is where we're adding new products. Also, if you want to increase a tranche on an existing product, this is where it will be done. At the moment, it's done via spreadsheets. It's difficult to know where a lot of activities happen on the product. There's been a lot of adding to the tranche or tranche migrating between products. Within Excel, there's no real audit trail of what's happened. This now is going to provide us with that audit trail, so you can see exactly what's happened on a product, where the funds have been transferred, who did it, when it was done, and then you can check that back to some emails whether we've actually had the approval to do it. And that really is the operational efficiency that we're trying to get at Marsden Building Society. Probably a 15-minute overview of 2 years plus worth of work. So I don't know if there's any questions on the back of that.
There's a question from Tom.
Hi, Andrew. It's Tom Leach from Bath Building Society. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Tom.
Perfect. Thanks for that. That was hugely interesting and really useful. Couple of questions. How did you go about resourcing this? So you've clearly done an awful lot of work on this, which looks very impressive. But how many people have you dedicated to it, and how have you structured that? Is it essentially a central team which has done the work and sort of pushed to the business, or have you tried to generate that pull within the business to start working on some of these things like the AIP?
A little bit of both. It's been based within IT, so we've got our IT programmer and one of our IT operators, Paul and Diane, who are on the call today. They've done a huge amount of work in the background, getting the data into CXAIR and getting it structured how we need to do that. From my point of view, I've been more the project manager. So I've been speaking to the business. I've been reaching out to the business to say, we've got this new product, where can it help? Or a lot of things will come to me and say, can you create this new spreadsheet? Can you update this existing spreadsheet? And I've been saying, well, this looks like a solution for CXAIR. We can do the work, we can create the spreadsheet, we can prove that you're happy with the fields of data, and then we will look to migrate it across to CXAIR. So we have quite a lot of things where we've kind of said, yes, we can do it, and we can do it in a spreadsheet, we can do it in SQL, but ultimately we see it being in CXAIR. And we've literally got hundreds of spreadsheets which potentially could go into CXAIR. We're just trying to pick out the quick wins and the biggest wins at the moment. Where are the biggest pain points? And if we can put those into CXAIR, that the AIPs, log of new apps, tranche management, you just need to look at the team's dialogue of someone's in it and they've gone on the lunch. It's now locked for an hour. No one can actually go in and update anything. This was a massive pain point that we thought if we can get this in, it's a huge win for the business. And we want the business to buy into CXAIR. So providing them with this effort that you're going into currently, here's a new system that reduces that effort. So we've actually had quite a small team on it. Three of us within IT, pulling in the business as and when required. But I think we have actually put a lot of time into it within the IT resource. It's not been specifically dedicated to CXAIR. but we've kept the momentum. We've kept it moving, and I think I'm safe to say that we do something on CXAIR every week. There's something being worked on. It's somebody putting data in, laying the foundations, or we've got a meeting with the business, or we're speaking with Connexia. Connexia have done a huge amount of the work in supporting us to get these projects up and running. A massive amount of work. We have a fortnightly meeting with Connexia, so they're updating us on what they've done. We're updating on what we're doing. We've got the tranche management. We've had that dual running for a period within the business. We've then handed back some feedback to Connexia, and we're almost at the point now where that's going to go back out to the business for another dual running period. If they're happy with it, we'll dual run it for probably a period longer and then turn off the old spreadsheets. But yeah, we've had to have resource there, but it's not been specific resource.
Okay. Well, that's really helpful. Thanks. So I think probably everyone on the call is nodding along in the description of the number of spreadsheets which could potentially go in there, and some of the issues that causes. I just had one other one, probably with a bit of an IT slant, which is just how do you go about updating CXAIR specifically from SOPRA? Because I think your point around getting the foundations right, I think, is a very good one. And without going into a huge amount of detail, in our experience to date, we've got some quick wins out, but actually, the point of going back and then reviewing the fundamentals is where we are at the moment in terms of thinking about how we do that data refresh and the frequency of data refresh and what we refreshed. How have you approached that challenge? And do you simply migrate all tables over and all the data on a specific time scale, or do you sort of do it in a bespoke way depending on a particular table that you're looking at for a particular report? What's been your approach to that sort of ETL process and scheduling?
Well, we have a daily update overnight. So the SOPRA data, it comes from our SOPRA reporting database. There's a cut at 2 a.m. in the morning, and that feeds into CXAIR.
Okay, that's great.
And then
So
that fully refreshes CXAIR. So every morning we have the updated data. So all the tables from CXAIR have come across. From SOPRA have come across into CXAIR, and then all the calculations and everything is then done within CXAIR. We already had some, like, for example, we had a mortgage spreadsheet, and which had a lot of calculations within it, and we could have just brought that spreadsheet straight into CXAIR, the CSV file, with pre-calculations already done. But we didn't want to do that because we thought that was going to limit us further down the line. So we've actually brought the raw data in from the tables, and then we've redone all the calculations within CXAIR. My background isn't IT. I can't go into too much detail on that, but roughly that is what we've done. Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Elspeth, I think you had a question as well.
I do, Andrew. I guess I'm obviously going to speak very shortly about what we're doing at Penrith, but I'm wanting to just understand from a user perspective and how much has the business actually embraced CXAIR. We're obviously at the stage where we are sort of 3 months in, and without sort of talking too much about what I'm going to talk in a minute, we're obviously just deploying it to the business to sort of see the potential. I wondered, what's been the sort of general feedback from users within the business? Are people getting engaged? Is it something they like? Is it making their lives easier, which is the intention, I guess, of introducing the software?
Yeah, we've actually taken quite a slow approach to CXAIR. So it's been in the business, it's been talked about a lot. Everyone within the business is aware of CXAIR, the capabilities, what it's going to offer. But it's been a very slow process in kind of putting parts of that out to the business. And a lot of within my role, a lot of problems come to me. So I need some new MI, or I've got this existing MI, but it's not really doing what I want. Or I need, can you pull this information from SOPRA? So a lot of the times there, we've been saying CXAIR is the solution to this. CXAIR will help you. We haven't got a huge amount within the business. We've got the marketing dashboard, which the marketing love, but that was led by marketing. So everything in there is built to their specification. So they're like that. And we've been dual running the agreement in principles, log of new apps. And again, it was a pain point within the business. So straight away, when we're saying, here you go, log into this one screen, and instead of filling in 3 spreadsheets, you're now just filling in one screen, and you're not going to duplicate any information. So once you've got in the product code or customer name, you're not going to key that into another spreadsheet. It's just going to pull the data through, or it's just one spreadsheet that you're filling in. So the feedback there has been really positive. But we're kind of doing the slowly approach. We've not really kind of just pushed it out and said, here you go, get on with it. I mean, we've also got a debate internally on ultimately how we use it, because a lot of spreadsheets and MI that we create at the moment is static, and we could give them a nice fancy dashboard and say, there you go, you do your own MI, which may suit some people within the business, but it may not suit others. Some people may just prefer the static data. So there's a lot of decisions that we still haven't made yet on ultimately how we use this. But up to date, yeah, feedback's positive.
No, that's good. Thanks, Andrew. That was useful to just understand.
Andrew, can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course you can.
You mentioned that there's some decisions still to be made on how you're going to use it, but is there anything you'd do different now if you were to start again?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
I can't think of anything. I mean, we've got Diane and Paul who've done a lot of the background work, whether they have anything that they would have done differently. But I think we actually took a lot of advice from people who already had CXAIR, and we've done it in a very slow, controlled way. And we sat down and made a plan at the beginning of how we were going to do this. And like we have a lot, like I just mentioned before, we have a lot of CSV files and spreadsheets. We could have just ingested them straight into CXAIR. That would be the quick win. But we didn't. We brought in the raw data and we've recreated them within CXAIR. This now means that any future developments, any future changes to that same data is within CXAIR. You're not updating your SQL and kind of your update isn't sitting outside of CXAIR. We wanted raw data in and then everything to be done within CXAIR. That's what we planned up front, and that's what we've done. It takes a lot longer to do that, but we think we're future-proofing it. So as it stands today, I think we've done exactly what we planned to do, and I'm not sure we would do anything any different.
Thank you.